Hello everyone and welcome back to the next episode of Hermitcraft here on the Hermitcraft server. Would you believe it? Yeah, you know where it is. And you might know where we are. We're over at the Passive Mob Farm project, which I'm going to attempt to do in this episode. But it is episode 499 and my life right now has been extremely busy these last few weeks, and it is getting busier. Big things are happening, which I can't really talk about just yet, maybe be able to talk about soon, but it does mean that I'm going to have to space out the videos a little bit more, that they may not be as frequent, and the next episode is episode 500. It's going to be a big one, it's going to be a special, and that's going to take me time to make, so if you do not get Hermitcraft as frequently as you would like, please know that it will all come back to normal at some point, but for this week, for the previous episode and maybe the next few, they might be spaced out a little bit more. There might be less videos on the channel than normal. I will always try my best to keep it up to date, of course, and keep the content coming, but sometimes life gets in the way. Anyway, my plan is to try and finish... Oi! Got another sneaky fellow over here being annoying. These skeletons are the worst. Aha! It looked like he went around the corner there, but I still managed to shoot him. And yeah, anyway, we've been digging on live streams. We've been making progress, and I want to make a lot of progress in this episode. And we found some caves down here as well, including some diamonds. I'm going to leave them right there for now because I want to sort of leave all of these behind while we dig out the last of this area and see how many we get in total. Now, as well as that, I've also left these sites open because I think it will be beneficial to run through some of the caves in this area and explore them. Like down here, we're at diamond level. This is going to be easy stuff for finding diamonds because you just got to walk through the caves. And we should be able to get a fair amount as a little bit of a reward for doing all of this digging. But we've got to start off with some digging, and before that I'm actually going to head back over to the sheep farm just to let you know what's going on over there. Then we're going to come back over here and do a big dig. So I believe in my video I said that you wouldn't see this place again until it's finished, and this is clearly not finished. I mean, look at all this lying around right here. We have had two fantastic, amazing live streams over here that have been so much fun, where I've been just trying to get the sheep into their pens, and I did as much as I could. I must have invested about 5 hours into this, and I've done all but these colours over here. These are now going to be iscals to finish off, and once that's done we do need to do a little bit of decorating around the outside. But if we just take a look in here, you can see it is now all sort of in effect. As I say that, I remember that of course we've still got to do the tracks underneath with the minecarts on, but all of the sheep are in place, and believe it or not, it was so slow and derpy to do this. It was ridiculous. I mean, I don't know what it is with me and herding sheep, but it takes some time. So I've done all of these ones on the left and the right, and I've done 4 of them over on the opposite side, and there's just 4 left to go. So hopefully now when I say it, next time you see this place it'll be done. I actually mean it. There's a good chance that it might not be so, because I reckon Iscal's going to have a bit of trouble herding these sheep as well. They are just a little bit ridiculous. Anyway, that's what's going on with this, and I wanted to mention it because, as I said, there's going to be less Hermitcraft at the moment. I'll still trying to be keeping up with my streams, and you can always watch those on the second channel as well. So if any of that interests you, the link to the second channel is in the description box. You can go over there and watch the silly streams of me trying to move the sheep inside the farm. It was crazy and ridiculous and a lot of fun. And anyway, we're now going to head back over to the Passive Mob Farm, where I want to do a time lapse of me doing some digging. Alright then, our items have been moved to a reasonable place, something I probably should have done from the get-go, and I think we also need to remove this netherrack as well. When we build the farms down the bottom, the idea is that if there are no blocks above, the spawning is going to be a little bit quicker. After it's gone to the grass, it starts over again from the bottom. So something like this gets in the way, but then again, I don't know if the farm itself is going to come all the way over to this edge. And there is something that we need to do, because as I just described, with the algorithm like checking for blocks up above, these ones are in the way. And if we were to make a farm, I think all of the blocks would need to be opaque and made out of glass. And do you know what? I'm going to commit some Minecraft blasphemy. Never destroy a spawner, they say. But today, this might just be the first spawner I broke in a long, long time. Actually, I think I broke one like earlier in the season already. And saddle's actually not valuable to us at all. And I think we can just drop down now. Is it going to be safe? Let's not take a risk. I'm going to throw a ender pearl because there is lava down here. So mining all of this, this is actually the only diamonds that we got. So let's see how many there are in total. Bam, 6. Kind of on the low side, to be fair. And do you know what? I'm hoping to find a little bit more. But in my time lapse there, what I was trying to do was dig underneath the obsidian so that we could have a look at it like this, where the lava lakes were. And although that's interesting, digging underneath the obsidian didn't really work too well. So anyway, we've come down to the bedrock level, and I'm not sure how it is I'm going to do this bit, but I'm thinking of putting in black wool alongside the bedrock, or maybe grey. Maybe like dark grey would fit in a little bit better. Have that go across the entire floor, and then put down some end rods so they're lit up and things don't spawn in it. However, I don't think that's going to prevent slimes from spawning, which could be a possibility. But then again, they won't interrupt with the passive mob farm, I don't believe. At least it's spawning rates. If they spawned inside the passive mob farm, then we might have a little bit of a problem. And I haven't prepared for this at all. My next plan was to run around these caves nearby, lighting them up, gathering some more materials, and seeing if we could get any more diamonds, because I would like to be rewarded for my work here. And do you know what we've got to do soon? We've got to mine all of this obsidian. This bit I just hadn't really thought about, and look at how much there is here. I mean, we're going to end up with a lot of obsidian, that's cool, but mining it is going to take forever, and I might go slightly insane. So anyway, I'm going to pop back up top. I'm going to get myself prepared to do a little bit of caving, and hopefully we can get lucky and find some more diamonds. So this is clearly a great idea. This is like the second cave I've been into, and the second set of diamonds. We have barely gotten started here, and already we are picking these up. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. My favourite number. It's going to be a lucky day today. Now what is this? I've just found myself something interesting. Not that interesting really, it's a mob spawner. We know all about these by now. Hey, get out of it you. Anything good in the chest? Wow, got to watch out for that little bit of lava down there. So, iron horse armour, okay. Diamond horse armour? No, but I'll tell you what, I'll take this iron. Okay, I've spent 10 to 15 minutes blitzing around these caves, got 28 diamonds, not so bad at all really. There's bits of redstone to pick off the walls as well, and just having a quick look around, yeah, I've gone into, wow, got to be careful where I walk. Been into all of these cave entrances, so now what I need to do is block them up with some diorite, and then comes the really boring part, we got to mine obsidian. Now I know I've got efficiency 5 and haste, but this is still slow for what is hundreds and hundreds of blocks of obsidian. So that right there is progress, believe it or not. It's taken me about an hour. I've managed to fill in all of the sides and remove some of the obsidian. Of course I've gone for the smallest amount first of all. We had a few little pockets of it over here. Then I started to chip away at a big bit on this side, and I thought, do you know what? This is exhausting. It's boring. I want to do something more interesting than this, and I think the way we need to look at it is not trying to do everything in one go, but chip away at bits, bit by bit. Are you interested in me? No, you're interested in something else. Okay. So, we have enough space here to start building this farm, right? In fact, the farm itself is probably going to be several little sections. So, we're kind of good to go now. We've cleared out enough space. But we have a beacon up here right above where we want to build this thing. So, unfortunately, I am going to have to move that. Just going to move it over into that area for when we mine that obsidian. So, the next thing that I will do, of course, is to move that, but we're going to hop into Creative World and have a look at what design we're going to be using for this farm. Oh, and if you wanted to see how much obsidian I actually got from all that. You're going to have to wait a second because I don't want to slide down the ladder as I open my inventory. Let's have a look. What's that, like 6, 8? 8 and a bit stacks. So this could potentially be the design that we go with. As I'm staring at it, I don't see too many flaws just yet. I've sort of marked out the same area using the netherrack, and we're going to have a singular portal that goes down the middle of this area, and then we're going to have water streams that flow in from either side. Now the best way to do this would be with dispensers pointing forward like this, because then your water source block starts here and it can go 8 blocks. The problem with that though is that these, lined up one against another, when you try and remove the water, occasionally they will mess up and make water sources in front of themselves. So the alternative is to use a piston. I should have been more prepared before I started recording. So if we have like a piston like this blocking the water that's behind it, then the water is going to flow 7 blocks, so we'd have to move it in by 1 at either end, which wouldn't be great. You'd lose a little bit of spawning space overall, but in the big scheme of things, we've got a massive area here to work with, so it shouldn't be too much of an issue. But then you've got to go and power those pistons as well, so maybe actually it's better to then put it here and have the water behind it, and then you lose 2 blocks instead of just 1. So how we're going to arrange these pistons at the moment is a little bit of a mystery to me. There's also the case of wiring it as well, but that might be made easier because there are 4 floors here at the moment, and the top one isn't quite big enough because this is the highest height that we're allowed to place a block at. So this one's going to go, which means we could potentially have one here, and then this one would be 2 blocks higher. Oh no, that wouldn't quite work either, would it? Yikes. So it looks like we've got to settle for this height right here, and I've got to find a way to wire up some pistons. Okay, I think this is the way we're going to go about it. So we'll have our water sources here, and then we will have some powered lines of redstone. Now we'll need repeaters to extend the signal every so often, but because it'll be bud powering, like this is bud powered right here, that means that you can have a repeater on the block across. So that's not going to be a problem. Another thing came to mind was light sources. We're going to need some glowstone or sea lanterns within this stuff to light it up, although on the top you won't need anything. That being said, if it's nighttime you would, so up here you just put the lanterns up top, right? Because no need to put them in the grass. Again, that being said, if we did put them on the grass on just this level, they would be lighting the top and the bottom as well. So maybe this floor right here has an additional amount of sea lanterns and we don't bother with the top and the bottom. So then we've got our spawning spaces of grass sorted out, and what we'd have to do is make a clock to control this. So when the piston becomes unpowered, the water is going to drop down and flow out. It's going to go 8 blocks across, which means that we have water covering 7 blocks of grass, and one of those will only be able to spawn pigs in them because pigs are 1 high, and maybe other things that are 1 high as well, rabbits, I don't know. And then they'll flow down to the end. So we'll need to do a test where we watch an animal get pushed by water across 7 blocks into a nether portal, and then we'd know that we need to extend it for that amount of time for the water to flow across, push it all the way from one end to the other, and then it's going to retract again. So that's something I think we can do later on. So testing light levels, this should be sufficient, and I've also measured out the space here between each of the portals. So we've got one that's 19, one that's 19, and one that's 17, and that won't really mess anything up. What we'll do is just trim it in by 1 block on either side, and this has got a 2 block gap to the edge, so's that over there, and that means that no hostile mobs will spawn in this farm with sea lanterns on this level and that one right there. So it's only a few spaces for this middle floor where we lose some spawnability. I've also gone and put a half slab over here in the hopes that I think a sheep will be able to spawn there, because in 1.9 I think it looks for the collision box, and that means that this would be a valid spawning space for it. Okay, this is not going to be that difficult to build in survival by the looks of it. Very simple stuff to wire up. Of course, mobs can't spawn on redstone, so you don't have to worry about the light levels back here. I mean, I don't think anything can actually spawn in that spot, right? Not even a spider because of the half slab. And yeah, then it will get unpowered and the water will go all the way to the edge. And perfection, it will stay there for a while. We've got to be careful of how long, because it can kill the grass, I think, if the light level isn't high enough. And then it will come back on again. And we'll probably control this, so it'll be like 1 floor at a time, 1 section at a time, and, you know, don't have the server lagging out like crazy. So we're going to have 3 on this side, then another 3, so 9, 18 of these segments in total. So maybe we can make it that the redstone controls them one by one. They sort of overlap a little bit, but they don't all activate at once. And of course, we would also have this coming all the way over to the edge. And let's get a flint and steel. Let's light this thing up just to see it in action. Make sure that this portal size can be constructed. Yes, it can. I do believe the maximum width and height is 21, and that is just 19 across. Just crafting a stack of repeaters. Do you know what? I love crafting redstone things by the stack. Awesome. And 2 stacks of pistons. Not enough to do this entire farm, which is going to stretch the entire length of this area. Incredible, right? But enough to get us started on this side over here. As you can see, I've made some progress. And look at that, my furnaces are just finishing up. We're cooking up some stacks of glass here. And they're going to give me some XP when I take them out, which is a good thing. Because I lost all of my levels. And where did they go? They went to mending. Yes, that actually makes some sense. So I was sleeping in this bed. No monsters in sight. And then when it was daytime, I was standing here. I was trying to do something on the other screen. And a zombie knocked me over the edge. Where that guy came from, I don't know. This looks fairly well lit up, but whatever. He knocked me down, I took some damage, and when I hit the floor, it wasn't enough. I didn't have enough health, and then I fell down again trying to get my items, but lucky for me, my items didn't go into lava. There are a couple of exposed bits, so I'm happy about that. And look at how this thing is coming along. We're going to put in the roof and the sides next, and then this thing isn't too far from being tested. However, what kind of testing we can actually do at the moment will be very limited because Tango has some chickens in the spawn chunks that we need to take care of. So I need to speak to him about getting some name tags, which we've got plenty of, and going over there and sorting it out. So his chickens are all going to be name tagged, and that means that they won't contribute to the passive mob cap, I think. Maybe it works differently with passive mobs. I don't think so, but if you name a hostile mob, or one that isn't part of the passive mob cap, it's no longer, oh, that's all 64, okay, no longer part of the cap. So maybe it's the chickens in the spawn chunks that we need to go and check out next, because nothing is spawning in this thing. Although that does remind me, there is another job to do up the surface actually, so we'll go check that out in a second. Man, this rain makes things feel miserable, but right now, look at this thing, it's done. I'm not feeling miserable in the slightest. Now we need a little bit of cobblestone here, just a couple of pieces to make some levers so we can activate this thing, although we're not really doing anything at all because there are no passive mobs spawning inside of it. I thought that was leather for a second and I thought, what's happened there? Hi, go away you, go away. By the way, I think what we'll do in the long run is decorate this place, so where we've got this extra gap on this side of the wall, we don't need to come back here and do this again, but eventually we'll build something up going up the sides, and then on the other walls we'll do something similar as well. So, yeah, you can see it's all been prepped, the water is in place, rows of piston and redstone, and I guess that's what we're giving a little bit of a test. So we would have an input coming to this block to power it, and then, boom, all of the water gets to flow over to the edge. And then Bomb, my buddy, has been telling me that you want to do that for 10 seconds and then close it again. And when it's closed and the water isn't flowing, you could probably leave it for about a minute. So I imagine what we'll do is we're going to have 3 of these farms, and if we split those 3 into 2 parts, then that's 6 in total, right? So if they need to be open for 10 seconds, and then there's like a 60-second cycle, what we'll probably do is have one open for 10, then it closes, then the next one, then the next one, another one, like that. That sounds like a good way to run it. Alright, this awful weather has passed by, and from up here you can see which areas are loaded. Looks like maybe 1 or 2 grass blocks over there, probably not going to worry about that. And maybe 1 or 2 over here, so I'll check out that one. It actually looks like there's a little bit of grass over there. So something to do over on this side. And then for this one over here, we're going to do it like we did last season, but lucky for me, this is nowhere near as big as that was. We're actually going to cover this entire thing in water. So I need to get over there first of all. We need to get to the top. And it landed in water. And then it's going to sink very slowly. I could probably swim over there by the time it lands. There we go. So we need to get to the top of this. We need to chop down some trees, which is why I told myself to bring my axe, and no surprise, I forgot. And then we've got to make sure that every little bit here gets covered, which is going to be tricky on sides like this, but don't you worry about it. I'm going to take care of it, and we're going to cover these 2 islands entirely in water. Well, the first one is done. That's a pretty cool view, and on top is a half slab if you're wondering, but now I am actually punching leaves because I'm out of food. It is something that I always do in this game, is run out of food in the worst of times. You don't want to spend all that time heading back over. I was going to say to the ender chest, but I don't think there's any food in there. I think I've got to go all the way back to my base. So I'm hoping I can grab a couple of apples and manage to survive out here and get this little bit done. Maybe I'll kill these zombies down here and eat their rotted flesh. For a moment there, I thought, oh, there you go, look at that. And now we can starve to death, but no. We got back just in time to get some rotted flesh. Amazing. So the best way to do things now is to fly around, of course, and have a look from up here at how we've done. So I didn't bother too much with covering all of the sand, and on the other side I gave myself even more leeway. As you can see, you know, I would have tidied this up, but it's sand. Mobs aren't going to spawn on it. Don't worry about it. At least hostile. No, sorry, passive mobs. What am I talking about? It's been a long day. Please forgive me. And then over on this side we had some grass as well, so that has also been cleared up. If you're wondering about the half slabs, that is because they've got the water source blocks below them. I think we did this in a biome once where it froze over, which doesn't really make much sense to me as I say it. But, you know, because of that, I've decided to always put the half slabs on top of the water source. And then over here, I don't think any of this really counts. Look at that. It's mostly sand. So I should probably come over here and just remove those little bits of grass, but the rest is sand. So we don't have to worry about that. And I guess that's all of the grass gone, except within our farm itself. Let's pop down there and see if anything has spawned. And no, disappointment. Nothing has spawned yet, unfortunately. So I touched on it a little bit at the beginning of this video, and I'm going to say it again, the schedule on the channel at the moment may be a little bit hectic. Videos not coming out when you normally expect them to. I'll be trying my best to keep it all consistent. As I've said, things are just busy at the moment. You may find out soon what's been going on. I hope you do. Anyway, that's going to be it from me. This video, if you have enjoyed it, please do leave a like. As always, thank you so much for your support. Hope you're enjoying this project. I am certainly enjoying it, and the next episode is episode 500, which may take me a fair bit of time to put together. So, yes, look forward to that. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.